name is Ruben Cantu, and I come from Austin, Texas, land of barbecue and breakfast tacos. Hopefully you can come one day. This whole afternoon has been very inspiring, actually. I'm glad that John kicked it off and made me see things in a new way. And throughout the whole afternoon, being exposed to new things. Shout out to Nick for bringing the house down. And I want to go ahead and kind of pivot a little bit so we can go a little bit more inward. The heart, hands, leadership aspect is really key, and it helps lead straight into this discussion. I like the idea of like collaborating and competing together. I call that co-opetition. One of the people who has come into my life the past 6 years has really helped transform the way I see the world on a global sphere is my friend here sitting next to me, Mandar Apte. How you doing, Mandar?
I lost track of time. I was talking to the people in the mayor's department. So
No worries.
just came here.
So Mandar, if you guys are not familiar with him, you can look at him in the program. He actually had Shell, like the energy company, create a title and a department for him. He was the game changer at Shell. Imagine having that title, go to work. Like, what do you do for a day? I'm an engineer. I do this. I'm a biologist. No, I'm a game changer. So I've always been in awe of the work that Mandar has done. And I want to have a conversation with him, and if you join me, in his journey from going from a Shell executive to this new found title of filmmaker and steward of good and love and taking people to India. So, Mandar, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
From the first moment I met you, Mandar, you always have been an advocate of meditation, and it's been a cornerstone of your life. That's how you help lead. You're a meditation teacher. You've taught meditation to, I think, thousands of people. Can you tell me how meditation has helped you become a better leader and ultimately a better steward in the world?
How many of you here meditate?
Wow.
So I don't need to give the answer. They know the answer. I will add on to what many people have said over the last 1.5 days. I started at Shell in 1999 and I stayed there for 17 years until last year. I was a meditation teacher in 2004. And since I became a meditation teacher, my reflection every year when we do year-end reviews at the workplace was the stress at work is affecting my leadership or activity. And there was always this desire to share meditation at work. So I started with an employee initiative because that's what most major companies do. They have a women's network, Asian network, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So I started a network called the Aware Network at work as responsible employees. AWARE. Now, which manager would not like his employees to be responsible, right? So we used to go to every manager and do a meditation session during the team meeting of that group. So it's not a wellness activity that is over lunchtime, that is only for a limited few, because the belief was that actually we need to take meditation to people who will never meditate, because they are the ones who are actually passing on the stress. People who already are into wellness and mental wellness, having meditation practices or Zen practices for them at the workplace, it's a no-brainer. So let's take on the challenge of integrating meditation as part of the work. So this is how we started in 2004. The first session I did was for a group of people at the workplace called admins, secretaries, executive assistants. They're mostly women, so they get it, right? There is no intellectual analysis. They get it. And anybody who does some pranayama or meditation, there is some stress release. So some of these executive assistants said, "How can we help you?" And I said, the purpose is not to make you cry. Do you experience how you feel? We need to create that culture of peace inside the workplace. So the executive assistant at your offices is the most important figure in the whole workplace. So once you empower the executive assistant, within just 18 months, I was able to do this workshop I call Empower on innovation learning. So again, not a wellness activity, but using my GameChanger role, which was an innovation incubator at Shell, integrating meditation as an innovation learning activity. Now, which manager would again not want his staff to be more innovative, right?
So help me understand, how does meditation help innovation?
Well, have you heard the phrase, silence is the mother of creativity? Who has heard this phrase? Great. So those moments of silence are those deep moments where a new idea comes to you. Has that happened to you?
In the shower. In the shower?
For those who shower, yes. Yeah, so maybe you're on a mountaintop, you're watching the sunset. Those moments, right? So it is, how do you bring that silence as an integral part of your daily living? So you need not call it meditation, you can call it just silence. Silence, a time out session. So that's where it starts. A new idea comes when you have no other old idea, right? New idea comes when old ideas have gone, right? Old impressions have gone, isn't it? If you have the frame of mind which is, what I think, you will never be able to learn anything because you are clouded with what you think.
So help me understand how you took the work that was successful inside of Shell and they've incorporated it and helped advance innovation, and the episode that you had with young children.
Let me answer the two sides of your question. One is at the workplace. So if you can kindly look at the person sitting next to you and make the eye contact.
No awkward moments here, right?
Okay, you are ready to play some role play?
Everyone has a partner.
Everybody has. Who doesn't have a partner?
Have a partner. Get a partner.
Who doesn't have a partner?
If you see your hand up, find a partner.
Okay, ready? So the person with the more flashy color shirt is the person A. The other person is B. The more colorful person. So if a man is sitting next to a lady, you will never look at your shirt. You will always say, you are the more colorful person. Yes? So who's the more colorful person in the pair of you? Okay, your job is to tell your partner, the person B, it's role play, so go with the flow. You are going to say, I hate you. Ooh. Yeah, do it. Go for it. Go for it.
It's the love summit. Go for it. All right, go for it.
Go for it, 100%. Look into their eyes and give it. Okay, done? Shh.
All right.
Now it's the other person's turn. The other person is going to revert back and say, I'll kill you.
You got that one? You got that one? Mandar.
Who's done? Done?
Okay.
Okay, so how was your experience? But all I heard was, I love you, I hate you, I'll kill you,
I think if you ever say that again to me out of context, I'd really be scared.
So, this process, what insight, because we don't have time, I don't want to make you answer, I'll give you the answer. What does this process tell you? This process tells you that if you are made aware or conscious of a role to play, in this case a negative role, you won't do it. It's difficult. Does that make sense? The more conscious you become, negativity will simply drop. And you experienced it, right? Whenever somebody says anything negative, it simply means what? The poor guy is not conscious, right? Something is happening in their life. So if you are more conscious, then you will not get into the drama. You will say, okay, let's go for an ice cream. What happened to you? Let's go. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the whole business is how do you raise your consciousness? And that can happen through good food. We don't watch our food habits. What are we eating? Does it suit our body? Are we sleeping well? Yes or no? And of course, breathing exercises, meditation for sure. Or doing something that is invoking your passion. These are the 4 sources of energy. There is no 5th source. Only 4 sources. So coming back to what does it have to do with innovation? It has got everything to do with innovation. Because any new idea, you need one person to support you. But most of the times a new idea is ridiculed. Not because of the idea, because the person doesn't like you. Or they don't get the idea, because you are the innovator. Does that make sense? So innovation directly related to your personal energy and how you manage your energy levels, and thereby creativity. And the second step of innovation is it's not just coming up with new ideas. It's a whole different game to bring that idea to the marketplace. So you need so many roles. The most important role is somebody who believes in your idea, trusts you and gives you the money and says, yes, go for it. I'll risk in you, right? For which you need to have a very deep connection with that person. Otherwise, why will they give you that money? So your state of energy has a deep influence on your innovation culture in the organization. So that is how I was able to teach about 2,000 people meditation practice at this small oil company called Shell.
It's just very small, very small.
Well, the universe is so big, so perspective.
It's true. And so tell me, you had an epiphany as you started expanding this work out into the community, and you started working with youth?
I started teaching meditation to anybody who is breathing, right? So I felt like I should go to places where the need for quiet time is more. So I looked for returning soldiers who are coming from OIF and OEF missions. So I used to go on weekends to the Houston VA and teach at the American Legion on my weekends and evenings. And those are some profound moments for me, because I never came to the United States to teach returning soldiers how to be stress-free. So I also brought this, I created a program to teach inner city children. But before you teach the children in the school, you have to teach the teachers, because they both have to be stress-free. So yeah, that was part of my activism, to take, I would say, India's gift to the world, meditation and yoga practice, to communities that need it.
And in that process, that led you to meet so many more people, and then you realized that you needed to help create a new story and help create better stories out there. And then that's when you started this great thing called Meteorize. What was Meteorize about?
So as an innovator, as an early stage innovator, which my GameChanger job allowed me to do, is invest in early stage projects. You are trusting in the spirit of the person with the idea, because there is nothing for him to show. The concept doesn't exist. You are only investing in the person and the story they are telling you. So I wanted to learn, what the hell is this storytelling? And I felt the best way to learn it is to start a festival on storytelling. So 5 years ago, I started a festival in Washington, DC, called Media Rise. And the cornerstone of that festival that we designed was based on speed dating events, bringing together people who are good at telling stories, matching them with causes that need to be amplified, but they don't know how to amplify it. So we create a space where this friction happens. And through that, I learned how different forms of storytelling can be used to promote early stage concepts And it gave me the flavor of authentic storytelling. And last year, shall I tell?
Well, I wanted to find out from there.
Okay.
You couldn't just sit down and help put a film festival. You had to go do it yourself.
So I, of course, leveraged on two of my co-founders. I brought them together. That again is a very, oops, not yet. So, you know, this whole economy that we live in is called relationship economy. Have you heard this term? Everything is based on how good are your relationships. So once at a Shell sponsored social innovation event, I was having dinner with the head of innovation at MTV. So in my GameChanger role, there is no competitive aspect to discussing anything with MTV. So he asked me, what else do you do? So at that time I said, hey, I want to start something on good media. Would you be a mentor for me? Because I'm a petroleum engineer. I would like to design this festival with your help. So I said, the festival doesn't exist today, but 3 years from now, it might become a movement. At that time, I need your help to find an ambassador who is not Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I need an authentic ambassador of good media. And I was having this call from an open office in London with this man in New York on a Skype call. So the person sitting next to me, a white British guy, he comes on my table and he starts speaking with me in Hindi. And he says, what a beautiful concept. The world needs positive media. All this in Hindi, of course. You should meet my friend Erica in Washington, DC. So I Googled, I checked Erica. I changed my flight from London to Houston. I redirected via DC. And within 2 hours of that coffee meeting, I bonded with her. Because she was the spark of, you have met her. So through this relationship that I would say a random conversation with the MTV guy, with a random conversation through somebody overhearing what I said, is how the festival team got created. And first year about 600 people showed up. Second year 700, third year 800. So we knew that we were onto something. As an innovator, you know when you are onto something. But you know, again, that is not, running a festival is not who I am. I am an innovator. So every few years you have to change what you are doing is what I felt. And I quit my job last year because I was very deeply pained by whatever was going on last year. I don't need to speak about it here. That's not the America that I came in 21 years ago for my studies. So I was so deeply pained. I said, what the hell is going on? And in my daily meditation, I had a vision of Martin Luther King. I saw this man take a trip to India and come back with a smile on his face. And before I opened my eyes, in that state of silence, I said, wow, what was that? If that happened, that's a Bollywood story. A pastor from Alabama, India trip, Amitabh Bachchan, world leader. And then I opened my eyes, went on Google, and lo and behold, he had made a trip, which I had no idea about. Does anybody here know? Not many people know that Martin Luther King went to India for 5 weeks in 1959. Now, as a busy Shell executive, nobody goes anywhere for 5 weeks, especially when you are busy and especially when there is no Facebook or Skype to reconnect with your community, right? So in 1959, when he's gone, he's gone. And when you read his autobiography, there is a 30-page chapter on pilgrimage to India. So I was deeply touched by it, and I said, something happened in India. Because when he went, he was only 30 years old, and he was assassinated at 39. And when he went, Mahatma Gandhi had already died. So for me as an engineer, that was the spark, like, wow, they didn't meet. But when he came back, as most of you know, he calls Gandhi his mentor, Christ in action, etc., etc. So what I wanted to prove to myself is a social hypothesis that the travel in India and meeting with India's people and the smells and the sights, something transformed in this. Can India show America the North Star again? When I had this insight, I was already in India. This was on February 20th of last year. And I called you. I said,
I have this crazy idea. You're not going to believe this.
So I said, I would like to recreate, I would like to expose victims of violence who have seen the worst actions of humanity, and I would like to hold their hands and show them and document that story. Perhaps there is no transformation, which I'm okay with, but I'm already in India, so that I would like to have them come to India now, so I save my flight cost. So February 20th, I posted on Facebook, do you know any victim of violence? And within 10 days, I had spoken to about 30 victims of families who had lost their kids to different acts of violence, including Michael Brown's parents in Ferguson. Mandar Apte had no business with Michael Brown's parents in Ferguson. But the universe was opening doors for me, is what I felt. And 6 of these victims agreed to come because the invitation was, you have to come now. So most people liked the concept, but they said, not now, we are busy. 6 of them chose to come. On March 1, I paid for their flights.
That was actually more than your return flight, though.
Much more. Much more. Much more. And my parents, my dad was upset, very upset. What are you doing? La, 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 la. I said, that's not it. Now I'm going to look for a filmmaker because I want to document their story, for which I need to have, you need to give me some money because I need to pay the filmmaker. So March 1st, after these 6 people confirmed and dates locked in, flights locked in, I started looking for a filmmaker. Luckily, I was in Bollywood, in Bombay. But most of the filmmakers that I met, even some successful ones, they asked me, do you have a script? I said, no script. Then this woman asked me, have you done casting? And at that time I said, of course, yes, I have. But when she knew that my casting was on my Skype and FaceTime, she said, that's not how the industry works. You have to put 1 or 2 months of casting so that you know that this character will be good on camera. I said, yes, but is the storyline good? And she said, yes, the story, if there is transformation, yes, it's a good story to tell. I said, thank you very much. I'm not from your industry, so I don't need to follow your rules. I'm going to do this anyway. That's when I reached out to him. Somehow 4 cameramen showed up in my life. March 10th, 6 Americans came, Sandy Hook parents, Black Lives activists from Oakland, a gang member from a Mexican gang in LA. They just showed up in India and I held their hands for 10 days. Every day the camera boys used to ask me, sir, what's the shoot for today? So I used to answer them, I don't know, just shoot from your heart. Whatever you shoot will be good. And that's what I did. So within 1 month from having the idea, production was done. So March 20th, everybody went back home. Since then, it took me 9 months to make the film because editing is very expensive. And that's when I realized that I can't do that and Shell, even though I had a very sexy title like GameChanger, $25 million budget, innovation experiments. But I felt a calling, so I dropped what I was doing, I did this, and since the last 15 months, I have taken 3 delegations to India to test the prototypes, the non-violence curriculum through an experience. I have taken gang members, police officers, victims of violence, mayors, and social activists. So now I would say the prototype is done. What am I interested in now is a risk taker, a mayor who would empower 10 to 15 citizens of his city to flag off and come to India and borrow solutions from that culture, not just yoga meditation, which is already here. And so that's one of my, I would say, projects, if any one of you would be interested. Second project I'm doing is I want to take about 20 police officers from different parts of the United States and do a flash mob yoga posture sequence with Mumbai police, and I've already done the arrangements in India, on International Yoga Day, which is June 21. That will be story of the day in India, right? America's police showed up to do yoga. And that story might come on to the shores of the United States. Hopefully by then, North Korea and fake news and all these things will have subsided so that that story will hit. Even if that doesn't hit, what I'm masterminding is Indian government to give a recognition to the police officer, saying you are from today compassion officer. And of course, if I meet a visionary chief of police, if some of you know, then the next step of this is to design a compassion unit for the police department. So it changes the branding of the police department.
Changes the mentality. Dream is changed.
Well, mentality not just of the police, but also of the community, right? So if you think of the first responder who goes whenever there is violence, it's the men and women in blue. So if the brand of the police has gone down, which I think it has, we have to raise that brand, because that brand is a sign of a healthy community. So healthy community, of course there should be no violence, but a protector of the violence is a person who's risking their life. So through this activism, I would like to work on the business of peace, because that's my corporate background, is if you can solve a social issue and somebody benefits materially from it, which in my case was Shell. So I used to invest in projects that benefited Shell. But any brand can benefit from this, then they will ensure that there is more peace. So just like there is a business of war, there is a business of drugs, I'm 100% sure there is a business of peace. Or love, you can say. That is, I would say, we would have made a big needle would have moved quite a bit if we are able to do this very quickly. So if there are in this room any Star Wars fans, I'm looking for Jedis. Like, we need to make this happen as a team. Like, boom, something happened in India and then something happened here.
Mandar, would you like to show them the work that we've done?
How?
This time, gunfire aimed at elementary school children. There are 27 victims, 20 children, 7 adults.
Violent weekend in Chicago has left 11 people dead and 60 wounded in shootings across the city.
Then at 8:45, just a mile from City Hall, shots ring out.
The person who has influenced my life in terms of action more than anybody is Mahatma Gandhi.
I fear that I will bury one of my sons. I fear that.
A kid who had a bad childhood, who was in a lot of pain, and wanted the whole world to feel that pain.
One of my children dying, being brutally murdered.
here in India for this time has been spaciousness to breathe and to slow down.
That's the rebirth, baby. So you come back to life.
Choose love.
So, has anybody not been to India here? You are more than welcome on any of the delegation. The next one leaves in December. You can have a good vacation, but it's not a vacation. I make you work very hard, right? December what? December. So I screened my film in Jerusalem. So I'm actually very excited that a delegation of Arabs and Jews is coming with me to learn India's culture to help the Middle East peace. December 3rd to the 10th. And then American delegation will be 11th through 17th. So if you like the Arab-Israeli delegation coming to India, you can support, you can be part of that, or you can come in the second half. So let's just take a moment of quiet time. Let's just quiet time. And let's just check into your breath. Make sure it's still working. Don't take it for granted. And just take a long, deep breath in through your nose and hold your breath. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. And now slowly, as slowly as you can, relax and exhale. Once again, deep breath in through your nostrils. Hold it inside. It's a treasure. Hold it. And slowly exhale. This time with a big smile on the face, even if you have to fake it, breathe in with a smile. And breathe out as if it is your last breath. Let go. Our breath is our source of life. No breath, no life. Acknowledging this, breathe in once again. And with a smile, thinking about your near and dear ones, wishing them love and blessings. Whenever our near and dear ones are happy, we are happy. Breathe in. As you breathe out, slowly and gradually become aware of your body, surroundings. And taking your own time without any hurry, slowly and gradually we may open the eyes. Great. So I would say what my guru has taught me is that love is not just an emotion. It is not just, oh honey, I love you, I miss you, I love you. It's not just an emotion. It is our very existence. We are made up of a substance called love. Inside each one of us is love, even in the worst of the criminal. So we are just like an atom. Inside the atom is proton and neutron, and on the circumference,
Electron.
electron. So we just need to focus on getting the negativity out, believing that inside each one of us is love. Yeah. So thank you very much, John, Samantha, Andrew, and everybody here. This is a powerful community. So the success of this summit is how many cross collaborations we made and changed our own orbit. Like we all have our own platforms. We have to make sure that we make at least one deep connection so we change our orbit. Yeah.
Everybody, round of applause for Mandar Apte.